What is going on, everybody? This is Tony. Welcome you back to another episode of Tony's Keys. This is episode 11 of the weekly episodic series where I let my CLZ app choose the books I'm going to spotlight. So let's roll that intro and we'll get right down to business. Alright, so before we get started with our first book, I just want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. You really do mean a lot to me. And if you haven't already, consider hitting like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell for future notifications. So now we got all that out the way, I'm going to start with our first book from 1992. This is X-Force issue number 15. And the key significance, according to the app, is that it's a classic battle between Cable and Deadpool. And it's a pretty cool book. This is probably, I don't know what appearance of Deadpool this would be. He popped in and out before here. But it is a really cool fight and a really good issue to have, and you probably still get it for cheap. So if you want to add it to your X-Force collection, I suggest picking it up. Alright, next up from 2023, this is a Marco D'Alfonso cardstock variant cover of The Flash Volume 5, issue number 791. Of course, this is part 2 of a 1-minute war storyline that was written by Jeremy Adams, and the key significance is that it's the first cameo appearance of Miss Murder. And of course, yeah, I keep looking because I have to cheat. But the 1-minute war storyline, I picked it up about halfway through it. Picked up all the back issues. It was really good. Really enjoyed the books of the Jeremy Adams run that I have read. I'm going to go back and get all the ones I don't have, because if you love The Flash, I highly suggest you picking up Jeremy Adams' run, because from what I read, it was really awesome. Alright, next up from 1993 from Image Comics, we have, and I believe this goes under 2 different names. It's either Deathmate issue number 2 or Deathmate Black number 2. One of the two, either or. This is the first full team appearance of Gen 13. It's a pretty cool book. This is probably the only Deathmate book I actually have in my entire collection, because it has Gen 13 in it. Haven't read it. It's on the read pile. I guess I already get the rest of them so I can read the whole story as well, because I can't even tell you about the story. But if you like Gen 13, you need to pick it up. From 1986, part of my very long Captain America run, we have issue 313. I've had this book for a long time, and the key significance is that it is the death of MODOK. Of course, we all know how death is in Marvel Comics. He come back, but it was a pretty good little read. And like I said, it's part of a run that I have of Captain America that now goes from issue 262 all the way to the end of the volume at issue 454. I have all of them going to the end of the volume 1 run, so I'm starting to work my way backwards from 261 to 100, which would be pretty cool, because I'd love to have a full run of Cap. But like I said, it's a pretty decent story. If I'm not mistaken, it may or may not have something to do with Serpent Society. It may have, I don't remember. Looks like, yeah, there's a serpent on the cover, so probably was. So yeah, if you're a big Cat fan, I suggest getting this book. Next up, still sticking with 1986, we have Amazing Spider-Man issue number 282. The key significance for this issue is that it is one of the 25th anniversary border covers that they did on a lot of books. I think it might have been for 1 month or maybe been several months, but they did these anniversary border covers to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Marvel Comics since the birth of the Fantastic Four from 1961. It's a pretty good story, and I mean, if you like Amazing Spider-Man, or if you just want to get these border covers, I suggest picking it up, because you can probably get a copy for about 15 bucks, and it's pretty cool. It's a nice little cover of him wearing his black costume. So yeah, I'd pick it up. So the next book we have is also Amazing Spider-Man, but it's an annual from 1982. Nice little newsstand. We have Amazing Spider-Man annual number 16. The key significance of this one is that it's the first appearance of Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. Now, in later years she would become Spectre and then Photon. And those of you that are familiar with her from WandaVision and the new Marvels movie that's coming out. May remember Monica Rambeau. This version of her as Captain Marvel, I actually prefer it above the other versions. That's just me. And if you want a nice little key, it's not cheap, but if you do some digging, I'm sure you can find a cheap copy somewhere. Because since the Marvels movie's coming out, it's probably started trending downwards now, and probably a time to get it if you're, a Monica Rambeau fan. Hell, pick it up. Next up, coming to us from the first volume of What If from 1978, we have What If issue number 10. What if Jane Foster had found the hammer of Thor? So basically, the key significance of this is it is the first appearance of Jane Foster as Thor, or in this case, Thordis. It's a pretty nice little story. Now, why they count this as her first appearance, with it being a what if, I'll never know. Instead of her, when she actually became Thor in the 616 continuity, who knows? But I wouldn't get it for spec. Just get it because you may just like the story. It is a nice little story, and the cover is also a nice little homage to Journey into Mystery 83. Yeah, it's a fun little book, and hell, just pick it up. I'm sure you'll like it. Next up, from the 2015 Secret Wars event, we have Secret Wars issue number 2 with that nice Alex Ross cover. The key significances for this one, it is the debut of Bar Sinister. I don't even remember what that was. But most importantly, it is the first appearance of God Emperor Doom. In all of his glory, you get to see just how much of a badass Dr. Doom can really be when he wants to be. Now his storyline started, he had taken fragments of other worlds and put them into one battle world. Of course, with him as the ruler, trying to save reality. And it was a pretty fun little read, and what I liked was all the covers, all the cover A's were done by the master, Alex Ross. So, hey, you like Alex Ross? Pick them up, man. They're awesome. Alright, next up, 1992, part of the Rise of the Midnight Suns storyline, we have Ghost Rider number 31. Mine is still sealed with the poster, like the Morbius that I did in another episode, because I've got all the parts of Rise of the Midnight Suns all polybagged and sealed with the posters. But the key significance for this one is that it's the first cover appearance of Lilith, right there. And this is the first team appearance of the Midnight Suns. This was a really awesome crossover event. Now, when they used this as a launch pad, you had Ghost Rider, and then they launched Spirits of Vengeance with Blaze. They launched Morbius, the Night Stalkers, the Darkhold. That's it. But anyway, the Midnight Suns books were awesome. Later on, I think they did a Midnight Suns Unlimited. I think they brought Doctor Strange into it as well. But this was a pretty good story, like I've already said numerous times. And there may or may not be some MCU spec if Marvel decides to do something with the Midnight Suns, which they should. But if they do, then hey, you can still get some of these for fairly cheap with the posters. But just pick it up. I believe you'll enjoy the story. You can get them in single or trade or even digital, but I highly recommend this story. Next up, we have a book that went up in value purely because of spec and a television show. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But we have West Coasters issue number 45. This is the first appearance of the White Vision. It's also part of the Vision Quest storyline that was going on during that time. I think it was like 3 or 4 parts. And I mean, if you watched WandaVision, White Vision showed up. I mean, I kid you not. The night that episode aired, where you see White Vision for the first time, this book that had been languishing in 50-cent bins since 1989 was selling a 9.8 CGC graded copy for over thousands of dollars. I've said it before, I'll say it again, don't pay for spec, because now you can go back and get a raw copy for 20 bucks now. But will it go back to up to those heights again? I think not. Should it went back up to that height the first time? No. Because I'm going to be honest with you, this thing, like I said, during the height was fetching the same price as the first appearance of Vision. And if I have to choose between one or the other, I'm picking the first appearance of Vision from Avengers. And speaking of which, this is the cover homage of the Vision's first appearance in Avengers. But I don't want to down the book too much, because it really is a great book. It's part of a great little storyline. Wanda's trying to find out what happened to her husband. They rebuild him into the White Vision. It's pretty cool, man. It's a really cool story. And don't pick it up for spec. If you can get a copy, pick it up because you want to read the book, man. That's all I'm saying. Next up, from 1994. Seems like we're spending a lot of time in the 90s with this episode. We have Web of Spider-Man, issue number 118. This is the first appearance of Ben Reilly as the Scarlet Spider. Now, this one has shot up a lot, and you can get a raw copy for about 50-60 bucks. I don't know how much a grade it's going for, but like, once again, don't buy for spec. Buy because you like it. That's my take. I'll say it every time. It's a really great storyline. This was the beginning of the whole clone fiasco, which, even though I did just call it a fiasco, I'll save that for another day. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed the series, pick it up. This is part of my Web of Spider-Man run. I have every single issue of Web of Spider-Man Volume 1, including the annuals. And I bought this puppy off the racks the day it came out in the comic shops. It's a direct edition, and I've had it ever since. I love it. So yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Ben Reilly, hell, if you're a fan of Spider-Man, pick it up, man. Because it really is a decent book. And I'm going to look because I'm cheating, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yes, it was part 1 of a storyline called The Exile Returns. So we're going to end this episode with a comic that I swear I wish I had the original, but I don't. I have a nice Marvel Milestone edition reprint and a facsimile edition reprint. It's a book from 1963, and I'm talking about X-Men number 1. God, I'd love to have this in the first print. But I bet I could barely afford a 0.5, but it'd be cool to have. Of course, we all know this is the book from 1963. This is the first appearance of the X-Men team, ran by Xavier. We got Angel, Beast, Cyclops, Iceman, and Marvel Girl. We also have the first appearance of Magneto. I bought this Marvel Milestone edition in the 90s, and then just, I'd say last year, got that. The facsimile reprint of X-Men number 1. And if you can actually afford to buy one, hell, pick it up. But 9 times out of 10, if you want to read this story, you're either going to have to get it in trade, digital, or one of these reprints. Unless you hit the lottery. Then you can buy the original. And then buy me a copy too. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And also don't forget to ring that bell for future notifications. And join us next time for episode 12 of Tony Keys. So until next time, everyone be safe, take care, and God bless. See ya.